Well, here we are with another episode of Inspired Good Fat Life. And I'm really, I've been so looking forward to this conversation for weeks. So, with my guest, who I will introduce in just a moment. First, I have to take a little moment to say, notice our Good Fat Life magazine. It is available in a beautiful hard copy, or you can get a digital copy if you go to our website, Good Fat Life, and it's full of all kinds of fascinating information. Not that I say so for myself, right? And we're hoping to have some articles in the next issue from our next guest. It was Luke Markell, and it's Wholesome CBD and Supplements. Is that the name of your?
Yep. Yep, that's
Okay,
correct.
good. So welcome, Luke.
Thank you.
And we are going to be talking about wholesome CBD and supplements, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So, well, tell me, I mean, where do we even start? There's so much to know.
Yeah. I'm delighted to be here and be able to share information about CBD and the benefits. First off, so thank you for having me. Appreciate that. Yeah. So, I could tell a little bit about myself and
Yeah.
how I
How
got
did you
into.
get started? I mean, so let's just. Luke and I were talking a little bit before the beginning of the show, and I'm of the generation where anything marijuana CBD related was illegal, and it is such. It's a little bit. I don't want to say uncomfortable because it's not uncomfortable, but it's a little bit. I don't even know where to start because I wasn't in that world.
Mhm.
And I made a point to stay out of that world, and because of it was illegal. But how did you get started? What? Give us a little bit about your background and what attracted you to this, and then we'll kind of go from there. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in 2009, I started being a caregiver for marijuana and helping people, different patients with debilitating issues, chronic issues, and I found that one patient in particular I'm thinking of right now had cancer, and I was making Rick Simpson's oil for her, and her biggest complaint was that when she used the oil, sometimes she would have too much and it would get her high. She
Was that
did.
like a medicinal marijuana kind of thing?
It is,
Okay.
yeah. So basically, what I would do to make that Rick Simpson's oil is take a plant, and I would use food grade ethanol, like a 190 proof alcohol,
Okay.
and I would strip the foliage of its good parts, like terpenes and cannabinoids that the plant had. So that would be like the THC. There would be a little bit of CBD, some CBG, so on and so forth, and then many other terpenes that the body uses in conjunction with the cannabinoids to be more effective to help the endocannabinoid system find homeostasis.
Which we're going to come back to in a minute because that's fascinating.
Happily. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. So,
Yeah, so one of the issues is that she would have this Rick Simpson's oil, and she would be, high, and she didn't like that. I didn't really have a solution to that other than you could take less, and try to spread it out. She had cancer in her throat. So what she would do is she would take a little toothpick of the Rick Simpson's oil and then just eat it. And it did show to help. Her doctors didn't give her more than a year to live, and she ended up living 4 years.
okay.
So it was,
And so was that with the pain relief? Was it pain relief or did it really help just slow down the cancer? Is that what you're kind of saying?
yeah, I think that there was stuff. I'm not a doctor, so I
Right.
wouldn't want to say that yes for sure that is what happened. But
But what was
studies
her
show
experience?
her experience was, yeah, it did help. So
Okay.
she continued to use it, and all the way to the point to where we were making a high CBD strain and a low THC strain, which is more like a hemp,
Okay.
and giving her that, and she was able to up the amount of cannabinoids that she was getting, and this is down the road,
Okay.
kind of
Right.
figuring out. So I did end up providing a solution for her, which was a high CBD strain, low THC strain. So THC is kind of the reason why cannabis became illegal. That's the cannabinoid
That's the
that
part that
gets you.
makes you high.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yes. Yeah, all of a
Okay.
sudden, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So,
I had those in brownies once.
uh-huh.
And it was
Too much
and
or
I
not?
ate a box of Mystic Mint cookies. It was not pretty.
Yeah, right on.
Right, and I had no idea why.
That's the hard part with like just getting a brownie from somebody. You don't know how many cannabinoids or how many milligrams of THC is actually in it, and it affects people differently.
Yeah, this was in college, so it was a long time ago. But
Oh yeah.
anyway, so okay, so you were working with this woman, and then what happened next? Which you
Yeah, so during that period, that transition of me figuring out about different cannabis plants to grow for different outcomes, and with Google and everybody else's research, you come across this kind of stuff, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. So I can grow a cannabis plant that's high CBD, low THC, and be able to get a lot of cannabinoids without getting high. That was the big difference for me. I have a herniated disc, L5S1, and the Rick Simpson's oil was extremely beneficial for me.
okay?
But the problem with it was that I could only use it at night because I work, and um, I'd wake up groggy. I mean, like hungover groggy
Okay.
from the THC.
Okay.
So I ended up finding out that we could grow this CBD high strain, and I could eat it during the day, completely sober, and it would relieve my back pain.
Okay.
So I could get like 150 milligrams of CBD a day, and THC, I could do like 10 or 15. I'm a lightweight. I know people are going to laugh, but
I
I could
don't
do
even
like
know.
10
Yeah.
or
Okay.
15, max in a whole day. And that's eating a little bit here and a little bit there because I was trying to not get high. So, um, yeah, I'd
Okay.
still wake up groggy though. So
Okay.
having CBD made it so I could eat 10 times more of the amount and provide my body, the endocannabinoid system, with 10 times more ability to be able to communicate stresses and relieve those stresses. And
So let's talk about that endocannabinoid.
you did it. Yeah, that's,
Okay, cannabinoid.
yeah.
Because that's a fascinating system that I never really heard about until the last couple months. So tell us about it.
Okay, yeah. The endocannabinoid system is a system in our body that's really, at least when I was in school, it wasn't in the textbooks.
Right.
Even though it was discovered in the 70s, if I recall, in Israel, and then they ended up finding the CB1 receptor that's in the cannabinoid system, the endocannabinoid system. So my point is that people have known about this system for 30 years, and it's maybe it is starting to get in
Actually, 50
textbooks.
years if it was in the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yep.
So but it's a system. What's the purpose of the system? Um,
The purpose is for the body to get to homeostasis. It's actually the chief of communication with chemical communication within the body, to get the whole body into homeostasis. That's an internal balance.
which is fascinating,
Hmm.
right? That we've never
Yes.
heard of it. So what are things
Yes.
that you can do to support that system doing its job?
So, staying healthy, working out helps.
Okay.
Um, we create millions of endocannabinoids every day. All mammals have an endocannabinoid system as well.
Okay.
But we human beings create millions of endocannabinoids. And these endocannabinoids are used by the endocannabinoid system to send signals from stressed areas in the body. And really, anytime there's any kind of movement, any kind of um, uh, difference in the body. So even like this, the reason I know that I touched myself right there is because the endocannabinoids were used by the endocannabinoid system to send the signals throughout the body. And then my brain understands that.
That's happening.
Hmm.
And so your products support that system
Abs-
or,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was mentioning before about these cannabinoids.
Uh-huh.
They're technically phytocannabinoids, brought from plants, and they bind to the same receptors, the CB1 and CB2 receptors, the same receptors as these endocannabinoids that we create naturally. So we create endocannabinoids, and then phytocannabinoids are what come from hemp and cannabis. So these same little tiny cannabinoids are bind to CB1 and CB2 receptors, and as soon as they bind there, they're going to send neurons and send signals throughout the body. And it's such an intelligent system. It'll If something's out of whack, it'll put it in place. It'll help
Put
get
it in
it.
place.
It'll help the
Okay.
body. Yes, yep.
Okay.
So if it's like tight muscles, it'll help relieve. But if you don't have, if let's say somebody is unfortunately dealing with a whole lot of stresses,
Okay.
they're using up more endocannabinoids because of this. Because they have more stresses in their body. If they're using up more endocannabinoids and you're maxed out on the amount of endocannabinoids that you can actually make in a day, all of a sudden you don't have any endocannabinoids left to send signals if you're using them faster than you're making
Ah,
them.
okay.
So that's where it's a good idea to go ahead and provide your body with more phytocannabinoids so that you can continue to allow the stressed area in your body to send signals.
And
And
it's got something to pull from. It's got resources.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So it's kind of like your
Almost.
bank account.
It,
It's like that, right?
yes. Yeah. You don't want to get on zero, but if you get, let's just say you go on vacation, and you're getting close to zero, you better get home and get back to work.
Yeah. Or how, yeah, exactly. Or, I heard it today as saying, your gas tank. It's like
Hmm.
people will just run their car to nothing, but their bodies to nothing,
Yes.
forgetting well, you can't just keep doing that.
Hmm.
Eventually, you stop.
Hmm.
And okay, so tell us more. So tell me about the difference between hemp and marijuana. Is it marijuana plant? Is that
Yeah.
okay? So it's
Yeah.
a hemp plant and a marijuana plant.
Yeah.
Is that
Absolutely.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So really the only difference, because they're both cannabis. So if you got cannabis up here and then it branches off into two major differences, and that's going to be the THC and um, cannabis that doesn't have as much THC. So the way it's defined is if the cannabis has 0.3% THC or more, then it's marijuana.
Okay.
If it has less than that, it's hemp.
Okay. And how would you use them differently?
Yeah, so a lot of people use THC for um, different purposes. Maybe um, if they're depressed, and CBD also helps with that as well. But definitely, some people look for more of a psychotropic effect from
Okay.
it that the THC provides. It'll make them kind of like a drunk feeling, whatnot. And CBD doesn't do that.
Okay.
It's
So CBD, if I'm hearing you correctly, CBD just um, fills up your bank account for your cannabinoids
mhm.
to have something to pull from when your body's stressed and it needs help.
Yeah,
Is
yep,
that right?
and
Okay.
it's actually our bodies are using endocannabinoids all day, every day.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, 24 hours a day.
So when you bring it into your body, and we'll talk about the different ways,
Hmm.
in some way, you're just giving your body additional resources.
Yeah, yep,
Is that a good? Okay.
absolutely.
It's probably
Kind of like
very
if
simple, but it's
Mhm. No,
okay.
that's exactly it. If you're, maybe another way to explain it is, if we want to continue to live, we have to eat, and if we're starting to get hungry, we need to provide food, you know. And some people are healthy enough that they create enough endocannabinoids every single day, and they don't need to add any extra, but there's some people where they unfortunately get into an issue, or maybe it's just old age. And I think there's still a lot of studies coming out about um, why and when is the best time to add extra CBD or other cannabinoids into your system. But I think that there's a one thing that I've noticed, at least with dealing with thousands of customers, is that there is an age, something to do with the age. It seems like the older people get, the more that they need some extra help in that with their ECS, the endocannabinoid system.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. No, that's fascinating. That makes sense. And so, okay, so talk about the different modalities, if you will. You can go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So you can ingest it. You can use the tincture form. A lot of people are using gummies. Tinctures and gummies are probably the most popular that I've seen
Okay.
ways to ingest it. I do have. I brought a couple of different samples. I should have brought some gummies, but here's a tincture form. This is the most popular
Popular.
item
Okay.
that we sell. It's a tincture basically. You just take some CBD and about 1/2 ml, depending
Okay.
on much. Take it and put it right underneath the tongue. I just took a little bit because I've already had a bunch of it.
Okay.
But under the tongue and hold it for a minute for sublingual absorption, and goes right into the system. It's actually quite effective. You can notice the response from sublingual absorption within 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
Gummies, you're not going to absorb as much of the CBD just from swallowing it down into your gut. You end up getting about 20% absorption. But a tincture you can absorb up to 50%, which is
Oh, okay. So
a little
there's
more
still
cost effective that way.
okay. So because the gummies have to go through the digestive process,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. That puts a different twist on gummies.
Mhm.
Okay. So what else?
Yeah, and then topicals. We have different little roll-ons. Um, this is a lavender one. That's pretty popular. People have been using this for migraines, putting it on their trigeminal nerve right here, or just putting it between their fingers if they're dry, wherever.
Okay.
Um,
And how effective? How much of an absorption does that have?
Pretty good actually, because we use a organic apricot seed kernel oil, and that has a yeah. Go ahead. Smells really good too. But that has a very similar
It's lovely.
oil as the skin, so it really just it absorbs right in. It doesn't leave too much of an oily feeling, like our most popular topical is this pain salve stick. This stuff is awesome. Um, One of the downsides of it is that it leaves an oily film.
Okay.
This is meant for pain though, so it's also 4,000 milligrams, 4,000 milligrams as to opposed to 300 milligrams in this little bottle. So like I was mentioning, it's meant for pain. It allows with that coating, it allows for the CBD to continue to absorb in there.
So, wow. Okay. Um, and so my massage therapist uses your products.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I had a massage recently, after, and I couldn't believe it was afterwards. I'm just like, oh, that was amazing.
Did,
I mean, she always gives an amazing massage, right? But
hmm
but it was just even a little. There was something of
Awesome.
something else. And I know, I'm sure, and that's what she said. She goes, "Oh well,
I love that. I love
yeah,
hearing that. That's
yeah."
that's great
It
to hear.
just is like where you just go, and so now I've scheduled them purposely so that I don't have to do anything afterwards, right? So I can
hmm
just really appreciate that just good feel good feeling
hmm hmm
and that relaxation.
Did she use one of the warming, cooling, and spot tree, or was it like more of them? Because we've got a few different salve sticks, but
Yeah, I
the
don't know. We'll have to ask her.
The warming, cooling, I love it, man. I love it, especially if I've got a knot somewhere, put it right on there, and it penetrates. And the warming and cooling, it pulls blood in, pushes it out, pulls blood in, pushes it out. And when it's doing that, it's moving a bunch of blood in there, fresh blood, more oxygen, and getting rid of issues, toxins, and especially if she's
So,
breaking it up,
yeah,
getting rid of the toxins. And yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
good.
It's amazing. And I, to your point, it wasn't that I felt high or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I just felt good,
Mm-hmm.
just relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, this feels good.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So how did you, so you found an interest in plants and then just one thing led to the next?
Yeah. Okay. So I was mentioning how I started using that plant and high CBD, low THC. I could get 150 milligrams. I mean, it was great. I was using it in the morning, sober all day, afternoon, nighttime, sober, sober, sober. I loved it. All of a sudden,
Excuse me.
I'm able to hike more, mountain bike. I mean, we're really getting active, Bree and I, and our kids, and we're just really getting active. I mean, especially me. I was in real rough shape 4 years prior to discovering CBD because just using a little bit of the THC, just it my body needed more. You
Okay.
know, my back was going out for 4 years. My back was going out every month, sometimes twice a month. So it went out.
Oh, ow.
Yeah, it was bad. It would go out, and I mean, it was routine for me. So I knew what I had to do these stretches, and I was basically bedridden. And I mean, oh, it was, it was rough.
Wow.
It was rough.
And is that's the primary thing that you did was to take the CBD? And then I'm
Hmm.
assuming that as you feel better, you were able to do more things to build
Yeah.
strength. And
Yes.
so it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it allowed everything to loosen up in my hips. And as I'm hiking and biking, all those extra motions that I really couldn't do before.
oh my gosh.
Yep, yep. I mean, a year and coming up on a year and a half ago, I started jujitsu, which there's no way I would have, no way, no way. I mean, it was a chore sometimes to go get milk
Mm.
because it was on the other side of the grocery store, and I was walking kind of like a bit like a zombie. I really couldn't take long strides because it would pull on my lower back so much. My hamstrings were just so tight. It's
I'm
insane.
sorry, but I was just thinking, what does a zombie walk like?
Just like these little tiny steps.
Oh my gosh.
I
Well,
was a happy zombie, but I mean, these little steps. Oh man.
well, so that's cool. So then you and Bree, but you've built up this wonderful company and all these products, and they look amazing and professional,
Thank you.
and you had to find suppliers, growers. We were talking
Hmm.
about that, and you were so intentional about finding people
The
that
right farmer for
the
sure.
right farmers,
Hmm.
and I mean that's a fascinating story in and of itself of finding the right farmers that met
Hmm.
your qualifications. So, so if somebody wanted to learn more about this, what would they do? Where do they start?
Yeah. If somebody wanted to learn more, I think right here, right now would be a
Yeah,
good little start. And then I'm sure that they would have a couple of interests throughout. I would recommend that they learn more about the endocannabinoid system, why it's essential for life. It's essential for life, and that means that it's essential for them, frankly, to get to know a little bit.
to
It's
take care of.
everybody, yes, yeah, everybody really does need to have a healthy system, rather it's nervous system, muscular system. Drink water, eat healthy, and take care of the different systems that you have because they all work together.
They do,
So,
but it's so fascinating how each one has such a specific purpose.
hmm.
It's not like this. It's not like this random mushed up thing. It's
Hmm.
like you do this, but we all play nice together,
Hmm. Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
okay, so if if I wanted to know more, so would I come to your store?
Yeah.
You guys have a store,
Yeah, absolutely.
retail store. I mean, they're popping up everywhere. And
Mhm.
what's the difference? Tell me about what a dispensary. Is that the right term for every place, or is that a specific term?
Yeah, so we deal with hemp,
Okay.
and dispensaries deal with marijuana, and
Okay.
I think most dispensaries carry hemp products as well,
Okay.
but they're more geared toward marijuana products. I don't know what the numbers are, but if I was just to take a shot in the dark, I would guess that they sell maybe 99% marijuana products, 1% hemp. If somebody's looking for something where they're trying to make sure that their endocannabinoid system is working properly. Maybe their body, they can tell that their stresses aren't being dealt with, physiological or psychological stresses properly. Maybe 20 years ago, if something hurt, the same kind of injury nowadays, it takes a lot longer to heal, then maybe they might consider getting a hold of us. We do free consultations. We can set up Zoom calls. It's real easy, but they can give us a call. Wholesome CBD and Supplements in Highland, Michigan. Stop by the store, 1400 South Milford Road. Yeah.
Okay, and we'll post all of your contact information on the site,
Hmm.
and with the post, because and so it sounds like you do a lot of education.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
would think you would have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just chatting with people and just giving them, just giving them information, man. I'm happy to do that anytime, and even if they don't want to buy our products, I'm completely okay with that. I will talk about hemp products, CBD, marijuana, cannabis in general, give my information out for free to whoever wants it.
Oh, that's great. I mean, because like I said, we started out at the top is that people of my generation, uh, we don't even, well, I'll say I don't know where to start, just because it was just you just don't even go there. It's
Hmm.
like not on your planet. And I've heard so many people say that are professionally in the business now.
Hmm.
They started like you because they worked with patients that were getting CBD for pain management
Hmm.
and end of life care kind of thing. And it was like, well, why should these amazing products be only for people at the end of their life? Why not?
Right.
Why not be available to people all through their life so that we can refill our bank accounts, like you're saying,
Yeah. Right. Right.
and live a better life?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely good to, um, it's definitely good that we're able to have these products. I'm sure. I mean, what would you have thought 20 years ago if somebody just said, "Here, check this out," and they just
yeah,
laid
and you
that
just
out?
go, oh, okay, no, thank you. So,
And then if they told you, "Well, that won't get you
actually,
high,"
it's
that
got a
act
really interesting smell.
kind of sour a little bit,
Yeah,
little sour,
yeah,
fruity, little yeah.
a little hoppy even.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
Yep. Yeah, and this actually won't get you high. This
Okay,
right here will not get you high. It tests at 0.2% THC, which means, okay, let me rephrase that.
okay,
If you smoke a huge one, then it would do it because it's quantity,
okay,
right?
okay.
But
If you don't fall asleep first, or
yeah, yep. I guess that's
that's funny.
another way. I forgot to mention that. That's another way that you could get CBD and other cannabinoids inside of you is by inhaling it. I don't recommend it. That's not my go-to to recommend to people. Frankly, it's always tinctures and salves. But there are some people who I have a couple of customers. They won't take tinctures and salves. They buy this, and that's what they like to do.
And they just inhale it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it's nice to have choices,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, okay, so I'm just taking a little commercial break,
Hmm.
okay, because we have an amazing sponsor. I am traveling tomorrow unexpectedly, and I didn't have some of my items that I wanted to wear were not ready. They needed to be cleaned and pressed. And so I called Snedecor's Cleaners, and they have an on-demand. They came and picked up my stuff yesterday, and it's back hanging in my closet today. So I'm all ready to go.
That's
It's
awesome.
amazing
It really
service.
is.
And they're so environmentally friendly and clean and pure. There's no chemicals in their cleaning process. And I just, it was just so nice to not have that stress
Mhm.
of, oh my gosh, I need to wear these particular items because it's a funeral, and they're not ready to go. So anyways, shout out to Snedecor's Cleaners in Howell, Michigan. So is there anything you'd like to say to, to our audience, just kind of as a final thing to leave with them?
Um, yeah, I think that, well, for one, if anybody has a question about CBD, definitely get a hold of me. I'd be more than happy to chat with you and, for free, no problem at all. That's what I do, so, um, yeah, take care of your ECS.
Yeah, that's your cannabinoid system, cannabinoid.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
we go.
yeah,
Oh my
close
gosh.
enough.
Okay. All right. But it's fascinating that we have the system and we don't ever hear about it,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And it sounds like it's really critical to our overall sense of well-being.
100%. Yeah,
And
it does communicate with all of our other systems. Without the ECS, we would be dead.
okay. Okay.
It's just, I mean, that's
And I mean, that's just like, why would you not want to take exquisite care of a system that you can't live without?
yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yep.
okay. So I need to come see you
Yep.
and
Anytime.
learn more about my system. So Luke Markell is our guest at Wholesome CBD and Supplements, and like I said, we will post all your credentials. And thank you. And so we're going to go out and live our good fat life, right?
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
support.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much, Luke. It's a pleasure having you.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.